Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video. And before we get started, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Also, if you are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe. And while we're talking of subscribing, got a podcast out, 2 episodes already dropped of Just Jets. It's on here on the YouTube channel, so if you want to watch, you can go back and watch a couple other episodes. Or if you're more into audio podcasts, I got it on the Apple Podcast app. It's on Spotify. It's on, I believe, Stitcher and the Google Podcast app. So wherever you are looking to consume podcasts, it's on there. Definitely worth a listen. I talked with Ali of Loyal NY Jet Fans on Instagram in episode 2. Got a really cool episode number 3 interview lined up. I'm really excited about it. It's someone that I really respect in the Jets. People who cover the Jets, I guess I should say. So really looking forward to that one coming out on Monday. And you could also get involved in the show. If you want to call in and leave a question, you can call in at 631-517-0782. Leave your name, where you're calling from, and what your question is. So now that I got the housekeeping stuff out of the way, what I wanted to do was talk about Henry Ruggs, a wide receiver from Alabama. Now, in most mock drafts, he is not being selected at 11th overall or earlier, where the Jets are. But his name was linked to the New York Jets today, which came as a big surprise because, like I said, I don't think he is going to go in the top 10 or at 11 when the Jets are on the clock. I think that the first 2 wide receivers that are going to go are Jerry Jeudy, who's probably going to go in the top 10, and CeeDee Lamb, who could go anywhere from 10 to the 15 range. After that, I think Ruggs is the next wide receiver off the board for sure. But it's interesting to see why he was linked to the New York Jets. And let's take a look at Ruggs as a player and why the link potentially makes sense. He is an absolute burner. He could take a top off of defense. He's extremely quick. Jerry Jeudy's fast. He could probably run in the 4.3s, Jeudy, but Ruggs has a potential to beat the all-time record in the 40-yard dash this week at the Combine. They expect him to run in the 4.2s, which is just crazy fast. That's like Tyreek Hill speed, and Ruggs is a little bit bigger than Hill, which is an exciting piece, and that's why he's an interesting prospect to look at. And when you look at what the Jets are potentially losing in Robbie Anderson, now, obviously I think it's a mistake if you let Robbie Anderson walk, but it looks like he's going to walk in free agency. You're going to have to replace him. And drafting a guy like Ruggs is doing just that. Ruggs is someone who can take a top off a defense, like I said a little bit earlier. He is quick. He can play on the outside. You can move him inside. He has a pretty good catch radius for his size, but it's the speed, which is going to make him a first-round pick. And we know how talented the wide receiving core was at Alabama. Still put up really good production with 4 potentially first-round candidates at the wide receiver position, 2 this year and 2 next year. I would find this interesting if the Jets decided to pick him 11th overall. That would come as a huge surprise. But what I'm thinking the plan is, or I'm not saying this is necessarily going to happen, but the logic behind the idea of drafting Henry Ruggs is that the Jets could be looking to move back. So a few scenarios. Teams like, let's face it, the Colts, the Bucks, maybe Tennessee later on, maybe the Saints way later on, maybe New England, depending on what happens there, all could be in the market for a quarterback. And we know that the 2 big ones are probably going to be off the board in the top 5, which is Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa. But maybe a guy like Justin Herbert starts to fall. Maybe someone wants to trade up and get Jordan Love or Jacob Eason. The Jets could potentially use that leverage and say, hey, here we are sitting at 11. Come up, get Jordan Love if you want. Leapfrog the Colts, leapfrog the Raiders, or leapfrog the Bucks, depending on who you are, and you come up and you draft a quarterback. And for that, you swap picks, obviously, and then you get probably an additional second rounder and maybe even more than that. I think if you are picking in the mid, so like 15 to 20 in that range, that is perfect prime real estate to take a guy like Henry Ruggs. Now, the reason why I say that I'm not 100% sold on this happening is because everything that I've heard is that Joe Douglas will not take a wide receiver in the first round. Whether CeeDee Lamb is there when the Jets are picking at 11, whether Jerry Jeudy is there at 11 when the Jets are picking, his ideology is offensive line. And sure, offensive line is a huge need along with wide receiver, but offensive line is the biggest need for this team. And everyone's expecting that you're going to take the best tackle available at 11 and go from there. But if you move back, the top 4 tackles are probably off the board, and Henry Ruggs might become the most intriguing prospect, and then you load up on offensive line in with your 2 round 2 picks and 2 round 3 picks. I can get behind a plan like that. I think that would be a lot of fun. Obviously, it all depends on what they do in free agency, but I am very intrigued by Henry Ruggs, especially if you're losing Robbie Anderson, because he could do and serve the purpose in this offense like what Robbie did. And I know how big of a fan I am of Robbie Anderson. You know, I should say, how big of a fan I am of Robbie Anderson's game. But if you can get younger and have someone with a potentially higher ceiling in Henry Ruggs, I think you do it. It may be a lot of fun to watch that offense go to work. Let me know what you think in the comments down below or on social media as well. If you're new here, please make sure to subscribe. I'll talk to you guys next time.